Hey, how's it going? I hope all is fantastic. Today we're going to talk about something bubbly, hearts, Cupid, all those naked babies and so forth. Today we're going to talk about Valentine's Day origins and also a little history into Valentine's Day itself. For all you lovebirds out there, I'm sure you'll get a delight of this. And all you lovebirds who don't have a lovebird, I'm sure you'll get a delight of this as well. Anyway, let's begin. The story of St. Valentine's Day begins with some unknown medieval birdwatchers. Oh, the birdwatchers of those days had nothing else to do. They didn't have TikTok, unfortunately. It was in France rather than England who reckoned that bird began mating in mid-February and decided to give this a precise date, February 14th. They may have followed some folk tradition as well. In Slovenia, that is still said to be the first day of spring, when plants start growing and birds start mating, or effing. As normal as it was during that period, not the bird mating, probably the bird mating, they express a date as the feast of a saint. In the Catholic Church, every day in the year celebrating at least one saint was during that time frame. And for a public who had no printed calendars, it was easier to remember dates by names rather than figures. Unfortunately, they didn't have like Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, or Selena Gomez to remember the dates of certain time frames. It happens that February 14th is dedicated to one or other two early Roman martyrs, both named Valentinus, believed to have died on that date. How romantic, I suppose. Like Romeo and Juliet, except they both had the same name. Hopefully they weren't siblings. This does not mean that there is anything to link the martyrs themselves to birds or the human love itself. It is by chance that their names appear if the bird watchers had picked on the day 15th, St. Fuchsia's Day, rather than the 14th. We'd be now sending one another fuchsias as love tokens. I'm sure I butchered that name. Here's the name of what I was just saying, and butchered that profusely. I apologize. The Valentine, in its modern sense, is a written love message, probably originating in mid-18th century, handwritten on fine paper, and becoming increasingly popular in the 19th century. Compared to Hallmark. Commercially printed cards, elaborately decorated, appeared in England around 1840. Of course, with tea and so forth. I'll have to put some images of these highly decorated stuff. It probably wasn't all glam or 3D, but it was still romantic to say the least. Now, in the history of Valentine, or love itself actually, fossils tell us that love evolved hundreds of millions of years ago, helping our mammal ancestors survive in the time of the dinosaurs. Rawr. Evidence of parenting, offspring bonded, appeared around 200 million years ago, actually, with dino people in the late Triassic and early Jurassic periods. Fossils of this dinosaur, which I will not pronounce, but here's the word, a Jurassic proto-mammal from Arizona, preserved a mother who died protecting her 38 tiny babies. How cute. For this behavior to exist, the instincts of both mother and offspring first had to evolve as well. In primitive animals, such as lizards, parents aren't exactly parental. A mother Komodo dragon abandons her eggs, leaving hatchlings to fend for themselves. If she ever meets her young, she is likely to try to eat them, because they are better than KFC. Komodo dragons are cannibals. Not cannabis, but cannibals. The young will instinctively run for their lives upon meeting her, as well as they should. In Welsh rocks laid down in the late Triassic, evidence of more advanced parental care was shown to come across paleontologists. The proto-mammal, this name, shows mammal-style teeth replacement from prior other Jurassic animals. Instead of endless replacing teeth from birth to death, as in lizards and sharks, this animal was toothless as a baby, developed baby teeth, then shed those of adult teeth. This replacement pattern is associated with lactation, boobies and milk. Babies did not suckle milk, so they don't need teeth. So this animal mother made milk, providing for their young. The animal probably invested heavily in a few offspring, like modern mammals, and would have evolved correspondingly stronger bond with them as well. I would as well if you're not biting my nipples, but as we continue. Mammal ancestors stopped seeing each other as lizards did excessively in terms of danger, food, and sex. feeling only the primitive emotions of fear, hunger, and lust. How daunting of Valentine's Day. Instead, they started to care for one another. Over millions of years, they increasingly began to bond to protect and seek protection, exchange bodily warmth, groom one another, like lick their hair and so forth, not with a comb, because that wasn't invented, maybe it was, and also to play with one another, teach and learn from each other. Mammals evolved to the ability to form relationships as well. Unfortunately, they didn't have Tinder or MySpace to connect with one another, but they had bonding with one of their own kind within that little area. Mammals could form relationships and friendships amongst their families and friends as well, such as elephant herds, monkey troops, killer whale pods, dog packs, and human tribes. And in some species, males and females formed a pair bond. No homo during that time frame. Or there probably was, I don't know, I don't care. Anyway, romantic love between male and women is a recent evolutionary development associated with males and helping females care for children. In most mammals, males are absentee fathers contributing genes and nothing else in their offspring. In our closest relative, chimpanzees, parental care is a minimal part of life. In a few species, including beavers, wolves, some bats, some voles, and Homo sapiens, pairs form long-term bonds to cooperate, raise their children. So if you don't raise your children, I guess you didn't evolve. Pair bonding evolved sometime after our ancestors split from chimps. 6 million to 7 million years ago, or probably more, scientists know for that matter. Probably before the split between humans and Neanderthals. We can guess that Neanderthals formed long-term relationships because their DNA is in us. That implies that Neanderthals and humans didn't simply mate. We had children who themselves became parents and grandparents and so on and so forth, for the result of those unions to not just survive, but to thrive, with parental guidance of their children so they could survive as well. There is an adaptive benefit of love, of course. If you don't have anybody in your life or you're lonely, you're more likely to die 20 years before you're supposed to die, according to science reports. Today, the ecosystem is dominated by animals with parental care. Mammals and birds and social insects, including ants, wasps, bees, and termites, all of which care for their young, dominate terrestrial ecosystems, which is quite fascinating. It makes me love bees and termites a lot more. Anyway, what do you think of Valentine's Day? Do you have a loved one? I'm sure everybody out there has a loved one. Even if you're lonely, you have something to love out there, even a video game. Anyway, happy early Valentine's Day or post-Valentine's Day, according to when I post this. And have a great one. Bye.